Last year, Cartoon Network decided to embark on an experiment, with the final result being one of the best programs they've ever produced. With Over the Garden Wall, we got their first animated miniseries, a show specifically designed for a self-contained 10-episode run. Patrick McHale created something very special, and even though I will not reveal spoilers, I actually think Over the Garden Wall is best experienced fresh. Yes, it is that good. Over the Garden Wall is like The Wizard of Oz if it was written by Mark Twain. There's a classic Americana feel, reminiscent of the early 20th century, which really adds to the magic of the series. A lot of it is a simple little adventure, as our two main characters, Wirt and Greg, wander to a new location and encounter different beings. In each locale and episode, McHale does a tremendous job of fitting so much story into only 10 minutes. Each chapter has a strong beginning, middle, and end, and not one feels too short or too long. In each one, the characters really do grow and develop. Most importantly, the world created here is very expansive and imaginative. It never feels like McHale is just recycling the same idea in each episode. I watched every single part in one marathon session, so I was able to see the story as a cohesive whole despite being episodic. They all flow seamlessly together, and I get the sense McHale wrote Over the Garden Wall in such a way that it works as both a miniseries and as a feature film, depending on how you choose to view it. Going back to the theme of Americana, a lot of the imagery in Over the Garden Wall is inspired by what we usually associate with that period. There's an episode where Wirt and Greg end up in a one-classroom schoolhouse, and then another where they find themselves on a riverboat. Frogs also play a key role in the story, an animal often associated with the southern United States of the late 1800s and early 1900s. This classic iconography also extends to the animation. There are a couple of portions that resemble Fleischer cartoon, and I was also reminded of Winsor McCay at a couple of points. One episode has Greg enter a dream world, and the use of lens and other animation techniques definitely give off a vibe of the 1930s era of animation. The backgrounds are absolutely gorgeous, all looking like drawings you'd find in a storybook of the period. They really help draw you into the world and atmosphere of Over the Garden Wall. That's another thing I love about it, the atmosphere. It's so easy to be absorbed and just let this show wash over you, and does the job of transporting you to this place. The use of music is also appropriately old-timey, like the sort you would hear in a classic record player. Certainly the most memorable is a tune sung by Greg in the Schoolhouse episode, and it's not just there for the sake of it, but it actually plays a pivotal role in the plot of the storyline. The show has a solid sense of humor, but it's a smarter and more subdued one than we used to in television animation, and again, very befitting of the era McHale is trying to evoke. The cast of characters is delightful. Wirt could have easily been one note, but there's a gradual change he makes through the miniseries, and Elijah Wood's voice work is right on point. Greg is also instantly likable, being a child character with his series of quirks, but he never becomes annoying or too cutesy. They're also joined by a bluebird, who has a frequent back and forth with Wirt, and it's interesting to see their relationship evolve, and I like that we find out new things about her as the story goes on. A one-episode character I had a particular fondness for is an old aristocrat, who seems like he might be hiding something, and well, with John Cleese, you can never go too wrong. A woodsman continually appears with his own side story and helps pave the way for the greater mystery at hand, and he's voiced perfectly by Christopher Lloyd. The villains that show up have the right creepiness, but they're very well developed, thus making them far more interesting than if they were just standard obstacles in Greg and Wirt's way. I would go into further detail about the excellence of Over the Garden Wall, but like I said at the beginning, I feel it's best to watch this knowing as little as possible. Needless to say, it's a very special, absolutely imaginative, and magical experience, and probably one of the best pieces of animation I've seen in the past 5 years. It even managed to take a story point that I would normally hate and flip it into something very creative and well thought out. I really hope Cartoon Network considers producing more miniseries, because this is an instant animation classic that deserves to be watched and rewatched for many generations to come. There's a timeless quality about it I really admire, and kudos to Patrick McHale and the entire crew for putting this together. See you next time.